everybody, it's Linda, Joyful Makes and Finds. I am back with a flip through of my latest journal. It is a Pansy journal, and it's a full-size journal made from a vintage Reader's Digest book. And I am so happy with the way it turned out. It's just really, really lovely. I did a little different style than I've ever done on the front cover. I just created a wraparound lace pocket, and these flowers on this lace look a bit like pansies. It's a very vintage lace. I created a tassel for this. Lots of really fun layers, and there are layers that have vintage buttons and charms and beads and vintage lace and trims and just all kinds of really fun stuff. It just attaches with a lobster claw clasp, so you can remove it very easily if you want to. And then I have the pocket. I included this really gorgeous image from the Graphics Fairy, and you can put anything at all that you want to. You could put a photograph, anything in this front pocket here. And there is also a pocket on the back as well. There's not anything in there currently. I also made some really pretty beaded dangles here, just using some lovely beads and charms. And the closure is a hitching post with a elastic hair tie. So we're going to open this up and get centered. It has 2 signatures, and this front pocket is a library card. I will credit the digitals that I used. I think I used 1 or 2 digitals in here, and then also the Graphics Fairy, and I will put those links in the description box. There's a little fun faux, very realistic looking pansy here, and a bulb pin with a charm that says "Made with Love." Little tuck here from a vintage seed packet, and this is actually seed paper, so you can plant this in your garden. They're not pansy seeds, but they will grow wildflowers. So you just plant it right under the dirt and keep it moist, and it will sprout. So I thought that would be a fun addition to this journal. This is a page from it's called English Garden Embroidery, and this was the Pansies. It was a pansy pattern. This is a note card, and on the back here is a multi-way pocket that I just put some ephemera in this pocket, and this cute little pansy card. And in the back pocket, top pocket, sorry, is a vintage style time card. And there's even another pocket behind this one. So lots of room in this for other items. Some avocado dyed paper, and I created a little pocket here. I have a couple of fun tags in this pocket with some fabric toppers. This is this is actually from the Liberty of London paper book, and it had pansies. I thought it would be perfect in here for this journal. A page from a vintage script book about writing and script, doily. Page from a vintage knitting, how to knit book. Some vintage ledger and writing paper on the back. I'm sorry, not ledger, but graph paper with lined paper on the back. This is some scrapbook paper, and in this pocket here, I just put some vintage ephemera. There's a vintage rickrack wrapper. I have just a few of these left, and they're really treasures. They are from the 1950s, and they are letters I'm sorry, this one was written April 29th, 1949. And it's this woman who writes to her mother. And I found these postcards and they're just dear. So this one was from the right time frame of spring. So I thought it would be fun to include in here. And then this is a vintage tally piece that you can journal on. So just some fun things here, and a little cluster that I made with a real postage stamp and some vintage fabric. Some coffee dyed paper. Then this pocket has this handmade, I made this when I first started making junk journals and ephemera. I made a Pansy journal. It was one of the first journals I made, and I made a bunch of ephemera that ended up in my shop, and this is one of the last pieces, and I thought it would be really fun to add that to this journal. Just tucked right in this pocket here. And then over here, this is a page from a vintage sewing book, and how fun, doesn't it? It almost looks like pansies on this blouse, and I love these dresses. It says 1950s vintage. And then this is just a page from an old notebook, and I just added some trim. This yarn is actually yarn that I used when I knitted myself a sweater many years back, and I still have a little bit of the yarn left that I love to include now and again in a journal. This is some banana fiber paper. This is a page from a vintage gardening book, and it is the center of the first signature. And on the signature ties, I have some really pretty beads and charms. A little key and just a pretty glass bead and some coordinating beads there. This is the back side of that pretty notebook paper. Another, the back side of the vintage sewing book. And then in this pocket, I just made a fun alteration card with some vintage fabric and this lady and a little touch of pansy washi tape. So you can journal on that. And then in this pocket, this is some trim. It actually, lace trim, has some pansies on it. And this is just a really big journaling page. Some pansy stationery. Lots of journaling space in here. Perfect journal for spring and summer. These pretty florals and the pinks and purples and blues. Here's the back side of that wonderful pansy paper. And then I made made a vintage button card with some really fun vintage buttons from my collection. You can glue some lined paper on the back if you want to use this for a journaling card, or just enjoy it as it is, or use the buttons. I just thought it just was really fun in this journal. All right, and then this pocket here has this really sweet Graphics Fairy little pansy girl image. It is a journaling card. And then I just did some collaging around the diameter of this page with some scraps from the different papers that I used in the journal. And then that's a tuck. On this side, this is a fold-out envelope. I'm going to scoot us over so we can open this up. And in here is another piece of pansy stationery, a full sheet of stationery for journaling or using however you'd like. There are 2 pockets here, and I just put some little vintage pieces and a little image and just some fun little things in there. This is the other side of the English garden embroidery with the pansy pattern. And then on this side of the envelope is a piece of embossed cardstock, and I also did a little decoupage with some pansy tissue paper. So it's a little surprise. Looks pretty plain and gray, and then you turn it over and it's got this beautiful pansy print. And then this little envelope pocket here, and it's got a altered playing card. I believe my sister made this. It's definitely my sister's style, and I think we had some of these playing cards. So this little fun touch from my sister that just fit right in perfectly. Let me scooch over a little bit so I'm back in the frame, middle of the frame. Okay, and this is another one of those pieces that I mentioned from the Pansy ephemera that I made several years back. And I thought it would be fun to include it right here. And I made this fabric ruffle. This is one of my favorite batik fabric patterns that I just have the tiniest little bit left, and I keep kind of hoarding it and using little bits at a time because I can no longer find this particular color pattern. And then I guess this is on this side. Okay, so we'll just turn the page here. This is between the two signatures. So these are two different patterns from the same digital. And then here, this is a very old piece of vintage crochet that I created this sideways belly band and put this wonderful vintage pansy postcard in there. And I just hung a little dangle there. This piece had a natural little loop at the end, so I left that loop on there and just attached a little charm to it. Lots of fun little unique touches in this journal. This is a page from a 1970 yearbook, a page from a vintage cookie cookbook. Here is a paper bag, and inside of the paper bag is just a vintage page from a name and address book. I thought that was kind of fun. Little handmade snippet here with paper and fabric, some vintage ledger, avocado dyed paper, some vintage music paper, and I did reinforce the spine since it's quite old with some pansy washi, and it really kind of adds a little decorative touch there too. And this is a page from a Flower Children book. It's I can't remember the name of the book, but it's old, and this is an original page. I think it might just be called Flower Children. And this is the pansy on the back side here, and then a page from an Ideals, Vintage Ideals spring magazine that has a poem about a pansy garden. And the beauty of all springs on the back side there. Some scrapbook paper. And this is a floating pocket that I made with some packaging, covered it with some scrapbook paper, and just added a couple of blank tags with some pretty toppers for you to do your own decorating, journaling, kind of whatever you'd like. I try really hard not to over decorate so that there's plenty for you to do. This is another page from the Liberty of London paper book and has pansies. Some shorts here. This is a embossed, really pretty gray cardstock. And this pocket here has a very vintage original greeting card in it. And it opens all the way up for lots and lots of journaling. And I just thought this image was just adorable. I love the colors. I love the blue and the violet together. Just so pretty. Then this little fun little cluster there with a vintage shell button. This is the center of the second signature. And it's got some fun beads and charms dangling from the signature ties. And this is that wonderful banana fiber paper. This is a cherry crunch dessert, and streusel coffee cake vintage recipe in this little pocket. Another fun little cluster here. The back side of those little short pages. This is a envelope, junk mail envelope that I created this pocket here. And it's got this vintage postcard that I added this little tab, created this kind of side journaling card. And this side behind it is also another pocket. There's nothing in there, but this is a double pocket. Okay. The back side of the Ideals book. And isn't this so beautiful? This is a fly leaf from I think this one is from a Reader's Digest Condensed book, but not this one. It came from another one, but it's just so springy and sweet. I love this. And I left the back plain for you to do your own thing. Some avocado dyed paper. Here is some children's ledger. The back side of the paper bag with this fun little pansy. And inside is a recipe card with a little teacup with pansies and a little birdie. Okay. And then this is the back side of that cookie cookbook. I love that image. And the vintage yearbook. And then this very last page here is the vertical belly band. And this is an original postcard. It's the Pansy Fairy from the Flower Fairy Alphabet postcard set by Cecily Mary Barker. So I included that in here. And this is a piece of the same crochet. So on the first page of the second signature, I put the sideways belly band and then the vertical one on the last page. So that's just really a fun piece. And then in the very last pocket is a spring medley tea bag from me. I always include some tea in all of my journals, and a little envelope, and it has an extra copy. This is the large card that is in the front pocket, and I had an extra copy, and it's just so beautiful. I wanted to include it. And it's just tucked into this little postage stamp there as a closure. Okay. So this is the last page. You can see how the closure, got a little tag along there. And then this comes to the front and latches, and then you can move the dangle and put it wherever you'd like. Okay, so this is my Pansy journal. Since you're seeing it, that means it is currently listed in my Etsy shop, Joyful Makes and Finds. There is a link to the listing in the description box. It'll take you right to the listing. And it also, as all of my journals do, will come with a baggie filled with offcuts and little bits and bobs. I never seal it up until I'm ready to mail the journal because I'll keep throwing little things in there. So this comes with it. But a beautiful Mother's Day gift, treat for yourself, for someone who loves pansies. My mother loved pansies, so I felt like I spent a little time with her as I was making this journal. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the flip through. Please leave me a comment and a like if you enjoyed the journal. And I will be back very soon. I am going to be working on a few more spring journals, as well as I'm so excited. I'm going to be making a little golden book Raggedy Ann journal. And I have pulled out all the bells and whistles for that one. So I'm really excited about that. So anyway, I appreciate all you taking a minute to spend with me. Leave a like, leave a comment, say hello. Have a wonderful day. And I will see you soon with another project. Bye-bye.